Paul Heyman, once regarded as the godfather of strategy and manipulation in WWE, has finally found himself caught in a vortex of his own creation, a chaotic, brutal civil war tearing through the very foundation he helped build. The man who once crowned Roman Reigns as tribal chief, who orchestrated the most dominant reign in WWE history, now stands paralyzed in horror as the bloodline he carefully sculpted descends into a savage, out-of-control battlefield. Night of Champions was not just another premium live event. It was an atomic-level eruption that shattered all expectations, all alliances, and all assumptions about who truly runs WWE. And in the center of it all, the camera caught the most telling moment of the night. Not a pinfall, not a title change, but the look in Paul Heyman's eyes when the impossible happened. The arena lights went dim, the crowd held its breath, and then the music hit. Tama Loa, the fearsome powerhouse who hadn't been seen in WWE for years, returned with thunderous force. The reaction wasn't just excitement, it was shock, panic, and pure disbelief, especially from Heyman himself, who stood backstage with his phone trembling in his hand. But it didn't stop there. Seconds later, the debut of Hikuleo, a 7-foot storm of destruction and one of the most feared figures from New Japan's Bullet Club lineage, turned the arena into an uproar. Fatu, once Solo Sikoa's enforcer, found himself outnumbered and outgunned in a scene that played more like a gangland ambush than a wrestling match. Hikuleo's monstrous frame towered over Fatu before delivering a crushing blow that sent shockwaves through the roster and sent Paul Heyman spiraling into a state of paralyzed disbelief. Heyman's whispered phrase, caught by cameras as he dropped his phone, "This wasn't the plan," may go down in history as the moment everything changed. For decades, Heyman prided himself on always being 5 steps ahead, manipulating others like chess pieces on a board, but now he wasn't the grandmaster, he was the victim. Solo Sikoa, once his student, had stolen the script and lit it on fire. And that betrayal hit even harder when it became clear that Jeff Cobb, a brutal technician and powerhouse formerly aligned with Seth Rollins' own camp, had jumped ship to Solo's faction. Seth Rollins, already livid over recent losses and growing chaos within his own group, stormed into the backstage area and confronted Heyman with venom in his voice. "You told me we had everything under control. You said Cobb was locked in. And now Solo's got him, and is building his own damn dynasty out of our ashes." Heyman, eyes sunken and heart racing, tried to maintain his signature calm with a dark, trembling smirk. "This is still chess," he muttered. "And Roman Reigns always wins chess." But even those legendary words sounded hollow, uncertain, almost desperate, as if Heyman himself needed to believe it more than anyone else. What's becoming terrifyingly clear is that this is no longer the bloodline Roman Reigns once ruled with supreme authority. This is a rogue empire born out of rebellion, fury, and vengeance. Solo Sikoa, no longer content to be the enforcer, has crowned himself the architect of destruction, and is not just recruiting muscle, he's constructing an army of untamed chaos. Tama Loa is his brute force. Hikuleo is his executioner. Jeff Cobb is his strategist. And somewhere in the background, Fatu waits in the shadows like a lion in tall grass, his allegiance still uncertain, his motives hidden, his presence a looming threat to everyone involved. The crowd may not fully understand his game yet, but those inside WWE's inner circle know this much: Zilla is not just another foot soldier. He's a bomb waiting to detonate. Some believe he's Roman Reigns' final secret weapon, a contingency plan planted long ago. Others whisper he's already aligned with Solo and waiting for the right moment to reveal it. Either way, the tension is suffocating, and the silence from Fatu is more terrifying than any promo he could deliver. Meanwhile, the absence of Jey Uso becomes harder to ignore with each passing show. Once the emotional heart of the bloodline, Jey has not been seen or heard from in weeks, and fans are beginning to question whether he is plotting something bigger than anyone realizes. Is he the hidden wildcard preparing to tip the scales? Or has he walked away from the battlefield altogether, broken by the destruction of the family he tried so hard to hold together? No one knows, and that uncertainty only fuels the chaos. And then there's Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, men who were promised dominance under Heyman's new Undisputed Era banner, now standing in the ashes of their broken faction wondering if they bet on the wrong puppet master. The look in their eyes backstage was telling: frustration, doubt, and possibly betrayal brewing against the very man who swore he could control the chaos. With Clash at the Castle approaching, WWE has never looked more like a war zone. No championships feel safe. No alliances feel real. Every conversation behind the curtain is laced with paranoia. Every handshake could be a trap. And while Paul Heyman continues to preach that Roman Reigns always wins the game, the truth is that for the first time in years, Heyman doesn't know what game he's even playing anymore. He was the mastermind, the oracle, the man who saw every outcome before it happened. But now he's being outflanked, outsmarted, and outmaneuvered by a version of the bloodline that answers to no legacy, no tradition, and no god, only power. So now the world waits. Will Roman Reigns return to restore order and put down Solo Sikoa's uprising in one brutal sweep? Will he unleash Zilla Fatu and reclaim the throne in a firestorm of vengeance? Or will he embrace the chaos, stepping into the arena not as a returning hero but as a wrathful judge determined to burn everything down and rebuild the empire in his own image? The only thing certain is that Paul Heyman, once the man behind the curtain, now stands at the center of the fire with nowhere left to hide. The next move belongs to Roman. But the war has already begun. Smash that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and get ready, because the Bloodline Civil War has entered its darkest, most dangerous chapter, and the reckoning is just getting started. Paul Heyman just experienced the kind of professional and personal implosion that only the twisted battlefield of WWE could deliver, and now the very legacy he helped build is collapsing right before his eyes in ways that not even his genius could predict or control. At Night of Champions, what was meant to be just another pivotal title defense turned into an all-out declaration of war, a nuclear-level explosion of shifting loyalties, secret alliances, and shocking returns that has completely rewritten the Bloodline playbook. The moment Tama Loa's entrance music hit the arena and the crowd erupted, something visibly broke in Paul Heyman. His eyes widened, his breath caught, and his phone slipped from his trembling hand as if even technology couldn't keep up with the betrayal unfolding before him. And then came the real dagger, Hikuleo, the 7-foot juggernaut, storming down the ramp and demolishing Jacob Fatu with a cold-blooded precision that no one saw coming. In that instant, all of Heyman's careful planning, all his manipulations behind the scenes, and all his calculated power plays unraveled in a single, crushing moment of silence. The man who once orchestrated Roman Reigns' historic title run, who forged a legacy of dominance so ironclad.